We're now going to focus on actual items that the museum has that has to do with things from the time of the Mishnah, the end of Vayesheni, to the beginning of the Mishnah. And these things are mentioned in the Mishnah in some form or another. Or the Gemara will expound on something from the Mishnah, and it's from that time. Let us begin with something very basic. The Gemara tells us that there were two ways of making the inyan of taking Shemen HaMishcha and doing the Shemen HaMishcha and being moishech and actually anointing a melech, a king, or a kohen gadol. So the Gemara tells us, and Rashi brings this in Chumash, that there was something called kimin ki yevanis, like a Greek key, letter key. People learn this Gemara, they have no idea what a ki yevanis means. Then, so a kohen gadol, they were moishech like a ki yevanis. People chazed these words and they have no idea what they're saying. And then the Gemara says also that there was another way of the making Shemen HaMishcha, and that was for a melech. What was a melech? Kimin nezer, like a diadem. What does this mean? Do people learn this Gemara in Menachos and they have no idea what the Gemara is talking about? What I'm about to do is to show you a coin minted in the time of the second Beis Hamikdash by Hardus, King Herod the Great, that shows both ways of making the Shemen HaMishcha as discussed in the Gemara. Kimin ki yevanis is what we call in English an X. Kimin nezer was like putting it on the outline, the diadem of the person's head. Hordus killed out Malchus HaChashmonaim, the Maccabees, and their whole dynasty of kings. And he wanted to show Ki'ilu, as if he is a continuation, and he has the right of being king, and even has the right of being like a kohen gadol. So what did Hordus do? Hordus minted a coin. And we have an original coin from Hordus that depicts both ways of making Shemen HaMishcha. And you will see like an X in the middle of the coin. And you will also see a round like the side of a head. And these are the two ways that the Gemara in Menachos explains kimin ki yevanis and kimin nezer. The other side of this coin has a picture of a table. Now this table is very, very important because on Shar Titus in Rome, it shows a similar picture of a table. And we believe that that table was the Lechem HaPan. So you're looking at a coin minted 2,100 years ago that has the picture of both ways of making Shemen HaMishcha, kimin ki yevanis and kimin nezer, as the Gemara in Menachos describes. So here again you see an item that is mentioned in the Mishnah and in the Gemara. It's mentioned by the Greek name kimin ki yevanis, and you can see it here in our museum exactly what the coin is talking about. Let me show you another example. The Gemara tells us that a soita was given to drink the mayim hama'arim from a feili shel cheres. The word feili is spelled pei yud yud lamed yud. Feili was a Greek word. The Gemara is using a Greek name. This keli is called in Greek a fiali. It was a drinking bowl. It had a bump in the middle. You took two fingers, put it here, and you'd use it to drink. And this is a feili shel cheres. And the Gemara says a saita was given to drink the mayim ha'ma'orim from a feilis shel cheres. Now, why did they use a feilis shel cheres? Cheres was considered a klimos, a keli that was disgusting. Who used cheres? A poor person. So it says in the Medrash that when she was over an avera, she used gold and silver kelim, and now she had to use a cheres. A king or a minister would use, a melech or a malka would use a gold or silver feli, or gold or silver fiali. Person who was a poor person, if he wanted to use, he would use one of cheres. Here you can see it. In fact, Rashi in Chumash tells us that the Sar HaMashkin gave to drink pare. People make this mistake. They think he gave him to drink in a kais. Rashi says feli. Pei, Yud, Yud, Lamed, Yud. Rashi in Chumash uses the Greek name. So I'm showing you a lot of names and words that the Mishnah, the Gemara uses. Like today, if you spoke Yiddish, you would say corner, refrigerator, air conditioner. The Mishnah and the Gemara were using names that was common at that specific time. I'm going to show you another example that is also very significant in our understanding of Mishnahs and Gemaras, and you need to see the mitzias of what it's talking about. Not only did we have, by the way, a feli shel cheres, we even have something, a feli of glass. It has the same bump that you would put in the middle, and this is covered of glass. Now, glass was considered very chashuv, very, very expensive. Eov compares glass to gold. Lo yarichenu zahavu schuches. He puts glass and gold in the same sentence. This particular keli is very valuable. Why? Because glass, when it sits over time, sometimes develops what's called an iridescent, this film, white-looking film over it. And just like if you have a lulav with moch, it's considered a chashiv, a lulav with all the brown things hanging off it. In antiquities, if you have a glass vessel with this kind of iridescent growing on it, is considered the most chashiv type of glass of the ancient world. And this is a keli of feli shel zechuches, and this was a very expensive keli in the ancient world. Another very valuable glass item was this little pach, this little vessel for oil, and for very expensive oil. And this pach is important because it's similar to the picture of the pach shemen on the coins of Shimon bar Kokhba, and we have already spoken about the other pach that we have in the museum made of cheres, but this was a glass miniature kind of pach keli made out of glass for that time. Now, each country made kelim in different styles, and when previously we have discussed different styles of kelim from the different periods which had a specific style. The Yevanim, the Greeks, had their own style of kelim. Just like I showed the failing and we showed the different things, they would actually take pottery and paint very intricate pictures on the pottery. And here are broken fragments of Greek vases, of Greek pottery items that have very beautiful designs. And afterwards they would put it in a kivshin shel eish and they would fire it. And by putting it in a kivshin shel eish and firing it, it would stay even over a long period of time. Here you can see some of the details in this little piece of pottery of lines and very detailed drawn pictures that have survived 2,000 years. When it came to the Beis Hamikdash, we have spoken previously about kelim for oil. But what did the kelim, for example, to keep nisach hayayin, what did kelim for wine look like? So they had, in the ancient world, a kad, a chavis. These are kelim mentioned in the Mishnah, the Gemara, and later in our Masechtas Kelim room we will show what an actual kad looks like, what an actual chavis looked like. But the Beis Hamikdash also had a keli for wine that we know very specifically. Shimon bar Kochva minted a coin, and here is a picture of a very, very valuable coin from Shimon bar Kochva. This coin shows a picture of a keli that the Greeks called a hydra. 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 It was a keli for wine. And we know its name in Greek, and we also know that Bar Kochva minted this on his coin, and we know that this was a keli used for wine. And this is also very significant because the Yidden minted different coins, but they also made oil lamps. And in a 2,000-year-old oil lamp that we have here in the museum, we have an oil lamp that has a picture of the same type of keli right here at the center. And this is an actual oil lamp depicting the keli for wine that matches the one on the coin of Shimon bar Kochva, and it shows the kind of keli for wine that would have been used in the Beis Hamikdash. As we know, with every single carbon that you brought in the Beis Hamikdash, you had to donate it a certain amount of wine. For example, we learn about Revius Hahin La Keves Ha'echa. We say it in davening every single day. Now, what I'm about to show you is something which I consider truly amazing. The word hin that the Torah uses is a word that's found in Egyptian hieroglyphics. And it was a measurement in Egyptian hieroglyphics. I am now going to show you an Egyptian hieroglyphics dictionary. And in this hieroglyphics dictionary, there's a section of the dictionary that shows different words found in Hebrew, found in ancient hieroglyphics. And what word do you find in hieroglyphics? The word hin. The word hin. And this is very significant because we know today what the Egyptians called a hin. It was a certain measurement vessel. And just yesterday, I bought a collection of antiques. And one of the collection items that I bought is something I've been looking for years. It's an actual keli that the Egyptians called a hin. So the whole machlokes between the Chazon Ish and Reb Chaim Noh about the shiurim of the different, what an ephah is and what a hin is and what the sizes is, I would like to show you in an Egyptian hieroglyphics dictionary that the same word that we have ephah is right here. So here you've just seen the measurement of a hin, revius hahin, ephah, and part of the collection I bought was a keli. And one of the main reasons I bought this collection was just to be able to get this keli, which is a keli that the Mitzrayim called the hin. So just like when the Gemara says feli, and it's in Greek fiali, and just like when the Gemara will use a term and it means something in Greek, kimin ki yavanis, we now know what the Mitzrayim called a shear of a hin and what it measures. Now, because I have tremendous respect both for the Chazon Ish and both for Reb Chaim Noh, and I don't want to get myself in the middle of this machlokes, I am not going to disclose which of the two shiurim is actually fits in the Egyptian measure. But for those people who are interested in this subject, who would like to come to the museum and study these items, and then look up in the Svarim to see what they both wrote about this, you can figure out and come to your own conclusion about which of the two shittas fits in with these 2,500-year-old kelim that the Mitzrayim called a ephah and the Mitzrayim called a hin, and you can decide that for yourself. Just like in Bavel, there's the shear of a base kur, mentioned in the Gemara. The shear of a kur was a Babylonian measure. It was a measure of Bavel. We have in the museum a shtar, a contract that says 7 kur of barley, the shear from the base kur. Ushloisha manim yiserim. The shir of Amunah was a shir of Bavel. And this was very important. The Babylonians, the people of Bavel, had a shir called the Mina, M-I-N-A, the shir of Amunah. We have a construct in the museum that actually mentions three mina of a certain plant that one person is selling to the other. So the fact that we know pennies, nickels, dimes, dollars, pounds, and ounces are the same today as we use it in English as you would use it when you would cheshboning today. In fact, the word ounce comes from the Roman Latin word uncia. Uncia, spelled U-N-C-I-A. And that's the Roman Latin word is uncia, and in the English today, the word is ounce. So the idea of ephah, hin, as I just showed you, the same word was in mitzvahs. And we know the measurement in mitzvahs of these things, and we know the exact meaning of it. And therefore, these are now becoming very, very important because they show us the sizes and the shiurim that we learn about. Let's use now another example. For example, we know that there was a keli mentioned in Masechtas Para Perik Beis called a kolal, kuf lamed lamed. So the Mishnah says, what was the kolal? Kolal was used to store the ashes of the Para Adumah. And that's what they would store the ashes of the Para Adumah. And the Mishnah in Para explains how they would take out the ashes in a way that they shouldn't make it tameh, and there's a whole discussion about that. When the shekel hakodesh and the machzis hashekel were made, what's very, very fascinating is that on the machzis hashekel there is a picture of a keli called the kola. And right now I'm going to show you a machzis hashekel, mizman bayisheni, with a picture of a kola on it. Here is an actual machzis hashekel. At the center of the coin is a picture of this keli called the kola. And this was called in English a chalice. And it was a very common keli at that time, like you would say a large drinking cup of today. This right over here is an actual chalice. This is not from the Beis Hamikdash, but its shape and its design matches the one on the coin. And they had variations of this keli. Some they would paint with beautiful designs and then put it in a kifshin shel eish and then fire it. This is a very beautiful one. This one right over here is a little narrower, and you could see some of the red paint that was painted onto it before it was put in a kifshin shel eish. And this was fired, and the color stayed because in being in the kifshin shel eish, it protected and stayed in its thing. So here's an example of a regular household utensil that had the same shape as a kolal, and sometimes these are also referred to in Tanakh as a kubas. Kuf vav beis ayin saf. And this becomes very, very important. In the Haftarahs that we read, in the Haftarahs about the punishment that Hashem will bring, in the Gimel Paranias, we say the Eibush is going to fill up a kuba'as kois hatarela. This is also referred to in Tanakh as a kuba'as. When they used to have very, very big parties, some people would also use it as drinking. The Eibush says, and the Navi warns Bnei Yisrael, that if Bnei Yisrael will not stop being Oved Avodah Zarah, Hashem will fill up a kuba'as kois hatarela. And here you can see it. So this was a commonly used item in that time, which is similar in nature to the kolal, which is depicted on the machzis hashekel and the shekel hakodesh from the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, and the Mishnah in Para Perik Beis mentions this type of item. Another very interesting thing that people used to do, just like today, if you buy something, a sefer, a book, you write your name on the sefer. They used to make a chavis or a kad of wine. They would have kalim with people's names on them. This right here is a Greek jar handle. And this has an inscription in Yavanis, in Greek on it. The name of this person was Asanus. That was his name. And here is the name as it's written in its Greek letters.